He handed my little sister the keys to everything I built, then asked me why I was crying. My name is Lauren, and for 17 years I was the invisible engine keeping Harrington Construction alive. That all ended the night my father raised a champagne glass to toast the future of the family, a future that apparently didn't include the daughter who'd sacrificed sleep, relationships, and every weekend since college to turn his company into something profitable. I left with one suitcase and a severance check that barely covered 2 months in Seattle. 2 years of radio silence later, my phone lit up. "Mom, we're going to lose the lake house. Please, Lauren. We need you." I almost threw the phone across the room. Almost. Growing up in the rolling hills outside Portland, our cedar-shingled mansion looked like success from the street. Inside, it was a shrine to one person, my younger sister, Brooke, the princess who could do no wrong. Dad built her a treehouse the size of a studio apartment when she turned 10. My gift that year? A pat on the back and a lecture about earning your keep. Mom called it old school values. I called it a preview of my entire life. I still believed hard work would change the script. I double majored in civil engineering and finance, graduated top of my class, and came home ready to prove myself. Brooke flunked out of community college twice and still got handed the title Vice President of Client Relations the day she turned 24. I started in the field, covered in mud, learning every crew member's name and every supplier's quirks. She started in a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows and a company Amex she used like pocket money. When a $42 million hospital expansion nearly collapsed because Brooke needed a wellness retreat in Tulum, I flew back from a vacation I hadn't taken in 4 years, lived on site for 9 straight weeks, and delivered the project 3 days early. The client sent Dad a glowing letter. Dad read it aloud at the celebratory dinner, then clapped Brooke on the shoulder and said, "That's Harrington blood for you." I smiled so hard my face hurt. Then came the night that broke me. Dad gathered us in the dining room overlooking the lake, the one he swore would stay in the family forever. He announced his retirement and the transfer of the company, the lake house, the investment accounts, everything, to Brooke. My reward? A handshake, 6 months severance, and the leased SUV I'd been driving for 5 years. I stood up, left my untouched plate, and walked out while Brooke asked if this meant she could redecorate the office in sage green. I moved to Seattle, started a tiny consulting firm out of a co-working space, and swore I'd never look back. But whispers found me anyway. First it was polite concern from old neighbors. The boats hadn't left the dock in months. Then panicked emails from foremen I'd mentored. Brooke had fired half the office staff to cut fat. Subcontractors stopped bidding because checks bounced. A union rep I'd known since I was 16 sent me photos of liens taped to the company gate. I archived every message and kept building my new life. Until the morning Mom's text stopped my heart. "Mom, the bank starts foreclosure on the lake house in 30 days. Your father is too proud to ask, but we're drowning. Please come home." I stared at those words until the screen went black. Something cold and sharp bloomed in my chest. Not pity. Power. I flew back on a red-eye, rented a truck, and pulled into the gravel drive just after dawn. The house looked haunted, paint peeling, dock half sunken. The American flag Dad used to raise every morning now tattered and faded. Inside smelled like old coffee and desperation. They were all waiting in the great room like defendants awaiting a verdict. Dad looked 10 years older. Mom kept twisting a tissue into knots. Brooke lounged on the leather couch in designer athleisure, scrolling Instagram. Spread across the coffee table, foreclosure notices, lawsuits, IRS liens, and a stack of credit card statements in Brooke's name that could have funded a small nation. I didn't sit. I started reading. "You refinanced the lake house 3 times to cover cash flow holes," I said, voice calm. "You missed 4 payrolls. You have 90 days before the bonding company pulls your license." Dad opened his mouth, closed it again. Brooke rolled her eyes. "We just need a quick fix until the next big job pays." I looked at her for a long, silent moment. "There is no next big job. You're blacklisted by every major developer in the Pacific Northwest." Mom started crying quietly. I laid my terms out like I was bidding a project. "I'll save it. But I come in as majority owner, 60%. Brooke steps down completely. I pick the leadership team. Total financial transparency. Or I get back on a plane today, and you lose everything by Christmas. Brooke shot to her feet. This is my birthright. No, I said. This is what's left after you set fire to mine. Dad didn't even fight. He just looked broken. Mom was already nodding through tears. Brooke stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. They signed 2 days later in a lawyer's office that smelled like lemon polish and regret. Saving the company was brutal and beautiful. 14-hour days, sleeping in the office, begging suppliers for one more chance because Lauren Harrington is back at the helm. I rehired every good person Brooke had fired. We clawed our way from red to black in 11 months. The first profitable job paid out last week. Dad called yesterday. Just 3 words. You were right. I still have the Seattle office. I still have the life I built when they decided I wasn't enough. But now I also own the company that tried to erase me, and I run it better than they ever dreamed. Some wounds don't need forgiveness. They need new terms. And mine just got rewritten in permanent ink.